So our first review of the day is going to be for the show Gen V. So Gen V is the spinoff of the hit Amazon Prime show The Boys, and Gen V is also on Amazon Prime as well. This is taking a look and aim at younger people, younger suits, this of them in college. So it's dealing with college age suits, dealing with how they use their powers, how they're taught to use their powers. And you're following the main girl named Marie, who's played by Jazz Sinclair. Jazz Sinclair's been in numerous things beforehand. She's also been in things like The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Also, she was in that show, that movie When the Bow Breaks, which was that Stalker.
That's where I know her from.
Yeah, she was in that Stalker movie there. She was in that. I think that had Morris Chestnut in it.
It's one of those screen gym erotic thrillers with black folks. That's a weird subgenre. We'll get into that later. But yes, Jazz Sinclair. That's where I know her from. I think it was Morris Chestnut or Michael Ealy. It's either one of them.
Yeah, and you have that. So yes, Jazz Sinclair is the main lead here, plays Marie, and her power is that she can control blood. So like her power, she cuts her hand open and she can like manipulate the blood and everything. I'm hearing like myself in the background. Do you have the stream playing at all? Or?
No, I don't hear it.
For some reason, okay. Thought I was hearing myself a little bit there. But yeah, so she can manipulate the blood and everything like that. And her dream was to go to this school that teaches, people how to be suits, and then giving them hopefully a good career after that of being superheroes in the outside world. There she meets fellow other suits, and there's like a whole ranking system amongst people there where they rank people from, kind of rank the whole school, the top spot to all the way to the lowest spot. And when she first gets there, she meets a student called Golden Boy, who's played by Patrick Schwarzenegger, who I didn't know at first.
First time I saw him.
Yeah, Patrick Schwarzenegger there, who's the Golden Boy. He has the power of flame. He's like Human Torch, basically. He's got flame powers and everything like that. So he's the number one. He's the number one spot. And when you get the number one spot, that basically means you're destined to be on 7, which is the big Justice League like superhero team in the show. And then you even hear, in the show, in Gen V, there's tons of references to the boys in the show and the events that have happened in that show as well. And there's even and we're also going to do a spoiler review of this. So if you haven't seen
alert. Talk about spoilers.
Yeah, there are some cameos of the characters and the boys that do make an appearance here, which we're going to talk about later. But yeah, like I said, there is a ranking system there. Also some other characters and all these characters kind of have in some way very weird kind of powers. And the show, it being focused on a more younger audience with a younger cast, it being in a college setting, focuses a lot more on younger college issues. For instance, like date rape is something that gets brought up in here with the show, because one character has the ability to mind white people. So he's like the very perfect date rapist. He's like his own date rape drug, basically. But he ends up kind of getting fucked pretty bad. So you almost feel like, So it's almost like
not in a good way.
Yeah, he gets his just due there. Somebody really gives it to him there. But yeah, and then there's a character who deals with an eating disorder. Her name is Emma. It's played by Lizzie Broadway. Her ability, she has the ability to go small and go big, like an Ant-Man type figure, but she doesn't use any technology. It's like she has to purge herself. So basically she has to throw up to get small, and then she has to consume a lot of food in order to get very, very big. So that deals with a lot of like bulimia, eating disorder type issues there that maybe a person might face there. So I kind of like a lot of those kind of issues that are tackled here. Bring it in, because The Boys very much is a very politically social, a lot of social commentary going on there, very political show. How did you like those issues there about the show? Like, it being in the setting of college.
Oh yeah, I mean, at first I think everybody was skeptical because a Boys spinoff this early in the game, when you only have 3 seasons, kind of seems like a kiss of death. But I think The Boys universe has such great quality control. They have such great writing and intertwining both of these worlds, so it feels like one cohesive universe. And one of the things I've always saluted The Boys for is their take on race and sexuality and gender and these political social issues, while also putting it into that comic book twist that we're all so familiar with. So I applauded them for that as well. I think this is like, we're gonna get gushy in a minute, but I can't say enough good things about how they write and how they make this so relatable, even though these kids are going through hell.
Yeah. Who else do you have ran out the cast? So Mandy Phillips plays Kate. She has telepathic abilities. I think the ability really only works if she like touches somebody. I think that's kind
Yes,
of, yeah. She only works if she kind of touches somebody. Then you have the character of let's see here. I forgot who's the character with the Magneto powers. I'm
that
trying to
would
think.
be Andre Anderson. Yes,
Andre Anderson here. Was that was the boy, right? Not the dad, right?
yeah, that was the boy. His father used to be a superhero, played by Sean Patrick Thomas. Y'all might recognize him.
Yeah,
Barbershop,
yeah, barbershop
Save the
there.
Last Dance,
Save the
and
Last Dance.
many
Yeah.
other childhood classics. And I thought he was great. But yeah, Andre is dealing with the pressure of, trying to get up in the ranking and trying to make his dad proud. So there's that level. I mean, I kind of make the metaphor for kids playing football in college. Their dad was an all-star, so now you got to be the man. And we see Andre deal with that pressure while also trying to do the right thing and be a hero in his own right.
Yeah, and then there's also a character who's a shapeshifter, who's played by two actors. One is London Thor's, one is Derek Liu, and they play a character called Jordan Lee. And the character, like I said, is a shapeshifter. Basically, that character, talking about younger issues, deals with that's more of a trans allegory
Yes.
there, because you see, like when they meet their parents. First of all, a lot of times, sometimes they're referred to as they them pronouns. I think Emma mainly refers to them
Yes.
as they them pronouns. And then some people either like will refer to them like whatever shape they're in. So if they're a man 1 minute, they'll go, he, him, or then when they turn into a woman, they'll go she, her. But yeah, sometimes they're referred to as they, them pronouns. But you see, like when the conversation happens when she's with her parents, of how, like the dad goes like, I know you can turn it on and off. Why can't you just be normal? So very much of that is also like a very trans allegory type of thing there in the show. That they have. Then you brought up the thing with the character Andre, the actor there, of how could be an allegory for how playing football, trying to live up to your dad's expectations. Your dad was a big hot shot, because I think they said also in the show Sean Patrick Thomas, his character was a member of the Seven, I think, or
Yes.
he was a member of the Seven at one time. Yeah. And hey, how's it going there, Sith Happens? Good for you to stop by. Thank you very much. So yeah, so I kind of like that stuff, and of course with this show, it being a boys spinoff, you're gonna get a lot of fucked up things that happen, a lot of violence, a lot of sex that is gonna come along there. Even the opening of the show, you see the backstory of Marie's character, and what kind of happened, her tragic backstory. Because a lot of these, some of these suits have very tragic backstories that kind of make them into what they are. And you kind of see what that happened. So yeah, what happened with her is she ended up, discovering her powers when she hit puberty. She discovered her abilities, and she ended up killing both her parents. And she, also had a young sister at the time who she doesn't even communicate anymore, because obviously her young sister blames her for the death of their parents, and she hasn't seen her sister ever since that day that she killed her parents. And she ended up growing up in an orphanage there, where they keep a lot of soups. So yeah, a lot of her dream was to one day, become a hero, undo the wrong that she did, and put right into the world. And that's kind of, so she's got some of that starlight in her of like growing up kind of very idealized version of this, because the propaganda is strong, as we see a lot in this world about boys and Seven, of like, she sees that as a huge aspirational thing, being like a superhero, saving people. And she wants to do that. And a lot of when she meets some of the other classmates there, they're doing drugs, they're fucking up, partying, and then they end up like accidentally, hurting somebody, and they're like, "Fuck this, I'm getting out of here." You know what I mean? Like, and then she's the one that actually saves the girl at the party there, because it's a situation with Andre. He's playing around and he's, trying to do a trick, trying to impress somebody, and then they bump him, and then he accidentally slits a girl's throat. And then, he's like, oh shit. And then, yeah, they just kind of get out of there. But, she's in with her powers of blood, able to put the blood back in and actually save that woman's life. So, yeah. So you see that with kind of her character. She very, I want to be a hero. I want to save people. I want to do good. But the problem is with her abilities, it's just that it's like, they're kind of fucking nasty.
Yeah, it's a gross power.
Yeah.
It's brutal. It's definitely not the one you'd want to have. Like there's no use in it. Like in your normal life, like what would happen if I just controlled somebody's blood today? Like it's a very severe circumstance. Like if you got hurt, it's great, but like other than that, I don't see what you would want to do with it. I mean, if you're
Mhm.
like her, you want to make blood spears, that's cool, but again, what's the use?
Yeah. And you see, like with all these classmates together, they start discovering a larger mystery in the show. One of the larger mysteries is there's something underneath the school because this is of course, a VOT-run school. So of course, VOT is always up to something, always doing something nefarious, and that is like there's this place underground laboratory where they're keeping these dangerous suits and experimenting on them to the almost to yeah, torturing them basically, experimenting on
Mm-hmm.
them in order to see how they can hurt soups or control soups. And it ultimately leads to one of the characters who's the dean of the school. The dean of the school, who's played by, let me see if I can find her name here. And I don't know if you have it already pulled up.
Oh,
Um,
I don't know if I can say it right, but it was
uh,
Dean Shetty.
Dean Shetty there, who's yeah played by Shelley Kuhn there, or Shelley Khan there, who's the dean of the school. And yeah, like she has a big kind of plan there. She's the one running this laboratory, controlling things, and one of the big ultimate goals that she wants is to create a virus that's going to wipe out all the suits, basically
Mm-hmm.
genocide all the suits. Create this, using the scientists to do that.
For
Um,
revenge.
and when you kind of hear it at first, you kind of go like genocide and all soups. That's kind of wrong. But then you see a lot of them, and it's like,
Nah, they got to go in this world. Yeah, I'm with her.
I don't know. I mean, genocide. I was like, I don't know. But I mean, you got people like Marie, and you got people like Starlight. But how many people are like Marie and Starlight
Oh,
compared
select
to
few. Yes.
people like Homelander and even like this
Yeah.
newer character that here's that's the son. I mean, not the son. I'm sorry, the brother of Golden Boy. Here,
Sam. Yes.
Sam. Who I mean, you can't really blame him for the way that he is. But Sam, his character, he's the brother of Golden Boy. He was been held up in that facility for years. Obviously that's going to create a lot of mental problems there. So you can't really blame him fully for how he is. But yeah, it's like I don't know if all the therapy in the world is going to help you, man. Especially when you got the power that you got, where he can basically take a person and rip them in half like tissue paper.
Yes, he's very strong.
Like I mean, he's almost like the character like you're gonna talk about in a minute, invincible. Like he can, he's impervious to damage. Apparently, it seems like he can get hit, nothing happens to him.
Mm-hmm.
Very incredibly strong, even stronger than his brother. So yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like maybe you got a point. You know what I
All
mean?
I got to tell you, just puppets. That's all I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah.
Once you start seeing puppets, there's a problem.
Yeah, which I haven't seen that much puppet violence since that episode in Angel that Joss Whedon did. I haven't seen that, which was a very fun episode, by the way.
Shout out to
Uh,
Angel.
so yeah, what were some of your main thoughts about this show and this season?
Uh, as a whole, well, yeah. As a whole, I just been saying like the boys universe is just some of the best shit that's happening on TV, and this show confirms it. Like I said earlier, I was skeptical, but the way that this show handles these issues and the way that these actors play these characters, you fall in love with these guys, and the performances are credible. Shout out to Jazz Sinclair and London Thor and Derek Liu. How they played Jordan was beautiful. Lizzie Broadway, for me, walked away with most of the show. She's the comedic relief, although she deals with the most painful storyline. She always comes through with a sense of humor. She's very witty, very, very, very quirky, and her chemistry with Sam is one of the big highlights of the show. And let me Google this gentleman's name if you don't have it already, but he was an incredible presence. And without giving too much away before we get into the spoiler talk, the way that these boys' characters, because I used to hate it, like when shows would do like, oh, hey, look, is that special character? But once you know, as we know, the boys, everything leads to something bigger. And Vought has eyes and ears everywhere. So the boys. So when some of these characters pop up, you just know that the boys season 4 is about to be some shit.
Mm.
So I'm excited. It got greenlit for season 2. Uh, and the way they said is like, excuse me, The Boys season 4 is going to follow directly into Gen V season 2. So all of these three-headed monsters are all going to collide. So I'm very, very excited to see the outcome.
Mm. Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely plot lines in this that you can see that are going to be followed up later on in something like the main series, The Boys. So you definitely, like I mentioned, the virus that can potentially wipe out all of the soups there. That's definitely something they're going to follow up with later on in The Boys, especially with the Butcher character played by Carl
My
Urban.
boy, Carl Urban, Johnny Cage.
Yeah. So yeah, so you got that kind of going on there, which I think is pretty good there. Yeah, and you mentioned kind of so much of like the show does, like with very much like The Boys blends kind of the horror violence aspect with the humor aspect. You mentioned the Emma character, because with her character, like I said, she's almost a sadly tragic, one of her experiences going through all this stuff. Just of constantly how people just betray her and kind of let her down and everything
Right.
like that. So like a lot of her arcs in the show are very, very sad.
And that's why Sam is so great. His name is Asa German. Asa German.
Asa
Yes,
German
he's
there.
incredible.
And you kind of see that, yeah. So a lot of stuff with her. So her thing, because like there's different sections, there's different things you can major in that they'll tell you can major in this college. There's some people who like if you have more of a cooler offensive power, like we mentioned, Golden Boy, he's kind of like this Human Torch character. Like he's gonna get pushed and be this hero and be on the 7. But if you just have a power where you can turn small and turn big, it's like, that's kind of fucking useless. I don't know. We can't really.
Lame.
Yeah, so you're gonna be like almost like a sideshow act. You're gonna be more for like TV shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Doing,
yeah.
Theater, something like that. Being more of an influencer. Something like you got more of like a power like that.
Exactly.
Not to be on the main stage.
They all don't get to go save the world.
Yeah, you know what I mean. That's what you're kind of regulated to. Just the same thing. What happens when Marie, when she comes in thinking like, "Oh, I'm going to get these classes and needed for me to be superhero." Like, no, your power is off. That ain't going.
It doesn't sell.
Yeah, they ain't gonna market well. And one kind of early on in the scene, you have a very great performance by Clancy Brown, who was always very good.
The great Clancy Brown,
who plays a professor at the school, who is kind of mentoring a lot of the soups here, especially the Golden Boy character. And that ends up biting him in the back there, or burning him, I should say.
Yeah.
Which kind of happens a lot of these things. Is like these dealing with soups, especially dealing that directly with them. It's almost like they say it's like playing with lions. You know what I mean? It's like Sigford and Roy there.
Yeah.
It's like playing with lions. Like eventually something's gonna happen to you, and you see that during the final episode of this. Where especially keeping the laboratory right underneath the school, like you couldn't put it off somewhere else, like you couldn't just
really. It's a secret lab.
Yeah, like you think you put it some black site somewhere, like not very close to the school, but
not very smart architecture there.
Yeah. So that was we were going to get into that pretty soon about
the woods.
The woods, yeah, everything like that. But yeah, great early on performance by Clancy Brown, who's always very good at a lot of stuff that he does there. What was kind of anything that you kind of didn't like about the show that kind of
I really, really love this show, dude. And I was trying hard. I was trying to hate. The only thing I wish, I was like, damn, 8 episodes. But if I could find anything worth nitpicking or complaining about, it's only because I know we're gonna get the answers later. I wish we knew more about these woods. I wish that we had a little bit more camaraderie with these kids. We do get some great moments in between earlier at that party, like you mentioned, where because when Marie first gets there, the cool kids, Emma, Jordan, Golden Boy, all kind of look at her like, but as the show progresses, these guys get to know each other and they become close friends, and some even become more than friends. And it was short lived because, of course, one of them don't know how to act, but I would have loved a little bit more just kids hanging out, just being kids instead of worrying about the dangers of life.
Yeah. But you said, I mean, hey, that's what you got to do. I mean, very much a lot of stuff that you bring in here, like you mentioned, the relationship between the father and the son there, how, you can really kind of, this contentious relationship with his dad, the Andre character is, I mean, she kind of hates his dad. But then there's a moment that comes where his dad has a medical incident. which kind of goes to show you like a lot of this. I mean, these suits. I mean, they didn't choose to be because it was a lot of stuff was just they were injected with it without their knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
At first, they thought it was like a gift from God in the show, but then later on, as we realized in The Boys, it was this Vought Corporation that mandated it and put this drug out there to make people into this. So yeah, I mean, you can't really blame it all the way on there. But the one character, the Sean Patrick Thomas, who's the father, he's got brain trauma, which kind of connects it even more back to something like football. Like he's got almost like a version of like CTE there. He keeps using his abilities. It's going to cause more brain damage there. So, and then obviously with a guy with superpowers where he can control metal, goes obviously very wrong when he has an issue there, when he seizes up and has a seizure that you kind of see there. Yeah, I think didn't Magneto also have a problem like that? Or no, Xavier did.
Yep, in Logan. Yeah, he was using his powers too much and having world-ending seizures.
Yeah, he was getting old and
senile.
Yeah, he couldn't control his abilities anymore, and it caused like people to pass out and throw up and
die. I think.
Yeah, and die. Yeah, I think it's hinted at Logan that's how the X-Men died. It's from.
Yeah, it was like he killed like a whole bunch of people, just one of those seizures. I need to rewatch Logan.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Yeah, for me, I mean, any strong kind of weak spots of this. I mean, I think some spots it does feel like a lesser Boys a little bit in a way of some of the kind of stuff it tackles. So there is that, and I kind of think, yeah, it kind of does feel like that in some sense. A lot of the characters here, I do enjoy them. I do enjoy Marie a lot. Jason Clare, I think, does a great job. Get to see her break out and be more of a leading role here. I do still like kind of a lot of the social commentary stuff that they mentioned, of like appealing it more to a younger generation, a lot of the issues that they face and they tackle, and kind of bringing there, especially the pressure of like, academically being in school, being in college, again, the ranking system there, because it's almost like the dean's list almost. It's
exactly.
It's like the dean's list basically there, but except, with their powers and their abilities there, how they do it, and how it does connect more to the Boys stuff and how they kind of do that more towards the end. Connect more to the Boys stuff, especially with the Victoria Newman character, who, I mean, yeah, at first it was kind of hinted as like Victoria Newman was very much of a AOC, kind of thing. It's like, but now it's like full on, like, she is like, I mean, it was like, she is like,
they ain't hiding it.
Yeah, she is full on, like, AOC there. And we get to learn about her ability and actually, her full extent of her powers. And Victoria Newman, is just like the Marie character, and she is just like the Jessica character, what I thought was pretty cool there. And we get to see more developments of Marie's power throughout this year, what she can do and how she can use her abilities. Did you ever see the show Misfits? You ever see that show?
I heard about it back in the Tumblr days. Never got around to it.
Okay, there's an episode in there. It's kind of like a parallel universe episode where there's a character where because the show Misfits about a young group of kids get like struck by lightning, and then they get powers, and then there's one episode where it's like a parallel universe type of thing where they tell people that they have powers, and then everybody else comes out and says they also have powers. And it's one character with like the ability to control milk and dairy and things like that. And at first, everybody laughs at him because they think it's a super lame fucking power. Like, what can you do with that? But then as the episode progresses, you learn he can control like all the dairy that someone's eating and, kind of choke them from the inside and everything like that. And it's kind of like here with Marie, like at first it's like, she can just control her own blood. And it's kind of like, oh, what can you really do with all that? But then she learns to kind of see the blood in other people and control the blood and even explode body parts of people. And yeah, so it becomes like a really dangerous ability. It's like, oh, she's badass. You know what I mean? She can do a lot with this. So I thought that was kind of nice what they did with that. I thought this was a strong thing. This is the second Boys spinoff. There was the animated spinoff that they did, which was the anthology kind of show there where they had like these little shorts and different episodes, which I thought was cool. I thought it was fun. It was fun. What was it called? The Diabolical something.
Yeah, oh my god, what was it called?
Yeah,
I think it was just The Boys Diabolical.
Diabolical, yeah. So yeah, that was pretty cool too. So what would be your rating for Gen V?
Oh god. What is the highest one? Pure Kino? What's under that one?
So the highest is This Is Cinema, then below that is Peak, then below that is Tune I'm
gonna go with a very high enthusiastic Peak. I I love this show. I love these characters. It's not just the violence and the language and the sex for me. It's just the way they're writing this show, the way they're planting these seeds into where the boys is going is really entertaining to watch. And I, if you're skeptical like I was, just go in blind. You're gonna be very very surprised on where they take you. So absolute 100% peak for me.
Yeah. I would give it a tune in, good tune in, strong tune in. I think it's got room to grow, come into its own a little bit more. I did like the ending of this. I think the ending of this is pretty strong of it. I mean, like I said, things just go insane there. And you do get two bit cameos from the boys series that come in here that obviously we're going to lead more into the boys and tie back into that. So it's, I mean, I don't know if I would have rather preferred it to kind of be more of its own thing or not too much rely on the boys, but I think that's fine. I don't think those were too gratuitous. I think they use them, use them at the very end, and they didn't
They use
use
them sparingly. They're not like every episode.
Yeah,
And even the minor characters of the boys are fun to see, like this, because they're just the comedic relief. They're just always fun. Like, hey, it's you. Like, so even smaller characters like that is really fun for me.
Yeah, so that was good too. So yeah, I would give it a 2. Good show.
For sure.
So yeah, that was Gen V.